my name is Nate Lammy. I'm the Professional Development and Training Specialist here at Flat for Education. I want to show you now how to use the composition software, the notation suite, to make an assignment. This is the other core function of our platform. So, anything you've created here in the score library can be reused or be a base for a composition assessment. For an example, let's say I went down to this version of an ABA template. So it took me about a minute or two to make this template up in my notation editor. And as you can see, featured here is the ability to have comments. So in this case, it looks like I told myself to go back and fix this, and I'm going to mark as resolved. In my score here, let's say I love this template. I definitely want to use it with my group. I can then click back here, go to my assignments, and now I can make my first assignment. As you can see, I've made a few, but for some of you, it might be your first. Clicking on New Assignment, you have an option here for composition and shared writing. Composition and shared writing are the same type of assessment with a slight difference. Composition, imagine yourself if you have a classroom of 30 students. When you give a composition assessment, they all get the same template, but individual work. So 30 individual versions of the same piece. Where shared writing, if you have groups of 4, each of your groups of 4 get one shared document they all work on together. So this is a way for them to collaborate. Shared writing also requires that you have a score for them to work on as a template, where composition has the option of just allowing them to write a new score. So, if you are ready to assign your students a composition assignment, go to New Assignment, Composition, Create, and here's where you have your details. So obviously you can name your assignment, whatever you'd like to. This description is for your own use, so you might type in the time of year, what kind of assignment it is, and this appears here once it is done. Pardon me, it appears here once that's written. The other boxes you can see, you can select your subject. This allows those buttons to function on the assignment page. So let's make an assessment for general music, and let's make this available for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. In this case, just like in the score editor portion, you can make collections to put your assignments in. So I could throw this into my Sawtooth 6th grade, but for now, I'm going to let it be. Here is an important decision. If you select New Score, your students are just going to start fresh with the notation editor. Template, on the other hand, allows you to select that score you wanted. So if I scroll down to my template, hit confirm, each student will start from this template. Another wonderful thing is that if you want them to start from the template and not remove the work you put into it, you have an option to lock the template. Now students will only be allowed to add music, not take away. This can be if you had a melody and you wanted to have them add chords, they won't be able to delete the melody, vice versa, or any other use where you want to make sure every student starts with something. You obviously have your directions here. This is where, as a teacher, you can write in the directions the students will see. These appear on the right side of the screen while students are doing their assignments, so you can see what they see. Here is your option to pick tool sets. This is where you can decide, I want my students using this certain level of abilities during the assignment. It allows you to turn on and turn off certain buttons on the editor, so that way they are staying focused. And down here are some audio settings. If you want to restrict the editor playback, only allow them to listen to it a few times, or restrict the ability to play the notes, this is where you would do it. Once you are done, clicking Done sends you back to the assignment page. It doesn't put it anywhere, but by clicking Use in Class, you can go to the assignment you want to send. You can go and pick your date, the due date, and you can even decide what students you want to send it to. For an example, if you want test student A, B, and C to have this version, but test student D to have one that is annotated or color-coded, you have the ability to assign that way. Once you hit confirm and publish, it will appear, in this case, my demo classroom. Give it a moment to publish here. And as you can see, it brings me to my demo classroom where I can sort of test out this assignment. To show you what that might look like, I'm going to go to Student Preview. Now in Student Preview, which is indicated by this and here, I can click into any of my assessments and start the assignment. This shows you from the student side what it would look like. Your instructions will appear here. Comments back and forth from teachers and students will appear here. And you can see what your students are going to experience. To find a version that has a little bit more descriptor, I'm going to go back to edit this work here. And you can see that you have the ability to not only turn in the work, but to edit it on the fly. So our next video we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to take a composition and turn it into a performance assessment. We'll see you there.